All right, it's late October 61, and I think could be a potentially interesting turn. Let me start off here in Missouri and kind of explain what I'm thinking. So there's a large force down here in Springfield, looks like at least two divisions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send General Line with two divisions to swing around Springfield and make a dash for Fayetteville, which is also a strategic town. I think it's possible by getting around and taking Fayetteville, we can cut off enough of supply in Springfield to force the Confederate forces to evacuate. Well, in order for me to be supplied, I'll need to grab some of these other forts around here and bring over supplies. So I'm going to try to take Fort Wayne this turn, basically. You can see that there is a Confederate force here, and we of course now have Shelby and Leavenworth. To counter Shelby, I'm going to send Lyon's 3rd Division west towards Shelby, and I'm going to rally the our cavalry forces here in Marshall. So they will basically all come in, and then they'll be able to form a division. Next turn. Meanwhile, we'll re-recruit forces in St. Louis, and we now have a partial division. Well, they're really almost a full division holding Jefferson City. General Grant is going to board a fleet and attempt to assault Island 10. Now, we don't know what's there. However, I think since we saw a lot of forces down south that near Mobile, Alabama, that the Confederates really can't have too much there. At least I hope not. Meanwhile, we'll split up our forces here in Fort Gaines. Small force will attack the forts. The rest of the force, which is now a division, will head back to Mobile, Alabama. General Marr's force will also assort Fort Morgan, and we have reinforcements on the way, as well as some brigs as well. In Virginia, I'm going to send a couple of our cavalry regiments over to just west of Harper's Ferry to regain control, and we're also reinforcing Harper's Ferry. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So let's run the turn and see what happens. Wow, so it was actually a very, very interesting turn. I'm going to start off in Virginia because the General Johnston has left Winchester and marched into Montgomery, Alabama. General Beauregard has also made a flanking maneuver to get around, and you can also see that they have sent cavalry regiments to our rear here. So wow, so a lot to consider. I'll have to think about what we want to do next time. We do have 3 really solid divisions here, and basically 3 here in Harper's Ferry as well. In Mobile, Alabama, we now are in control of both Fort Morgan and Fort Gaines, and so we can now bring as much supply as we need via the ocean into Mobile, Alabama. Let me flip over to Grant, because this was the really this one was actually really pretty interesting. So I'm actually going to bring up the battle. So there were 2 battles from Grant's maneuver. The first one was there was a naval engagement, and we lost 2 ships. They lost 3. We lost 16 cannon. They lost 22 cannon. And so it was a win, which we were kind of lucky about because they did have the CSS Manassas here. but for whatever reasons, Admiral Hollins decided to retreat, and then that was followed by the victory actually in Island 10. The Confederates didn't have anything there, as I had predicted, considering all the forces that they had just recently had down in Moga, Alabama. So, let's see, did we capture? Okay, so they had some coastal artillery there. Here is the force. You can see they have several gunboats, of course, as we saw before, and then the CSS Manassas. And we are building ironclads. However, ours is not going to be ready for another 2 months. And I don't think, yeah, nothing else has appeared yet. So our ironclads are not actually ready. Yet. I'm going to kind of flip back over to Leavenworth, because what happened was General Shelby attacked, and then left. So you can actually see Shelby is actually back in Lexington, and here is our force, which is actually pretty much right next to them. General Lyon basically is moving forward as we had expected, and you can see actually there isn't really anything in Fayetteville. Now, unfortunately, we did not take Fort Wayne because there is a force there, so we have a couple options. One is to so they're going to ride in. It says 16 days. So we do have a couple options. One is to come down onto Talika here, and hopefully we can take that with enough supplies. Otherwise, our forces do have enough supply for about for three more turns. Otherwise, we may begin to run into some supply issues. I think that's all. So that was a pretty eventful turn. I have to really consider what to do here in Maryland. This is actually a pretty good play because he's obviously seen that I've moved most of my forces. Well, I don't have a huge force here in Maryland and Virginia. Since I've been since I've been moving elsewhere. So, of course, I have to protect. I certainly have to protect DC. And those are pretty large forces there. So, I don't know. I'll have to think about what to do. I'll have to ponder. So, pretty exciting turn. We'll quickly pop out west and see if they were doing anything. Doesn't look like it. Looks like they've given up on Tucson, and we'll be able to reinforce. Our units have finally unlocked, so we can begin to do something a little more. You can see that Baylor has actually already made a move up here, and he's all the way up here into the he's all the way up here already. So we'll have to move on Santa Fe to reinforce Santa Fe. What else? That's pretty much it. Let's quickly take a look at any messages. Whole bunch of movement, as you would expect. There were the battles. We have finished building some armories, so probably won't have the war supply issues we've had before. So actually, last time we had basically used all of our money, conscripts, and war supplies, so we had drawn down on everything. Okay, so everything is active now, including the California column. Okay. All right, that's pretty much it. So I'll have to really consider again what to do next time in Maryland and Virginia. That'll be the big decision. And see you next time.